What if the only thing standing between you and all you've ever wanted is a tale you're telling yourself repeatedly? Not the kind that inspires, but one that sounds more like "I can't because," or "maybe when I have more time," or that little voice "it's not the right time." But you already know deep in your heart, it's always too soon. The resources are never all finally available. The conditions will never cease to be complicated. And so the question isn't will you do it? The question is will you find a way or an excuse? Because those are the only two options we ever really have. Life isn't going to wait for us to be ready. It doesn't wake us up in the morning and require us to check in before sending its next obstacle our way. It simply moves forward. And in that moving we have a decision. Not always an equitable one, not always a discriminating one, but a decision nonetheless to rise or run away, to adapt or avoid. We are among those who know at an early age if the door doesn't open, you knock louder. We are among those who learn to make our own damn door. But we are among those, far too many of us, to whom excuses are handed out like candy. Soft reasons, logical lies, justifiable delays. And before we can make a turn, we're years into our comfort zones, adorning the walls of our stagnation, talking all the while someday. But here's the truth: someday is a thief that seduces. It steals today of its passion, its importance, its enchantment. It is simple to utter "not now" when the world becomes complex, when we are exhausted, frightened, or hesitant. With every justification that seems so true, there is a silent surrender, a surrender we do not realize. And the more time we allow it to linger, the farther our dreams drift into yesterday, and the more our bravery begins to rust out. But that is the lovely part: you do not need to be brave enough to begin. You merely need to be done with the excuse. For the first true breakthrough always comes not from where you are, but from a question you are courageous enough to ask yourself in quiet. What would happen if I actually went for it? And then in that moment the journey starts. Finding a way is not so much about being heroic or perfect or grinding constantly. It's about being committed. It's about curiosity. It's about playfulness with purpose. It's not "I have to grind until my eyes bleed." No. It's, what if I did something different? What if I just took the next tiny frightening step? Stoic thinkers had words on this. They recognized that the world wasn't an even playing field. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. They weren't selling optimism, they were peddling acuity. Life will permit suffering, disorder, and opposition. The only agency we are given is how we respond. Do we despair on the first wall, or do we seek a chink? Do we wait for someone to serve it to us, or do we serve it to ourselves? You don't have to know it all. You simply have to know where you're going. Why? Spark. And even if all you have in your life right now is a small spark, fanning it, guarding it, moving forward with it. Most individuals think they need motivation in order to take action. But oftentimes it is the doing that generates the motivation. Start, stumble, correct course, repeat. That's the way the trail comes to appear. A river runs through stone not because it is powerful. It does so because it perseveres. Similarly, it's not the brightest, the loudest, or even the most gifted who do the doing. It's the ones who continue to show up, who continue to seek the path, who take a deep breath and say, "Okay, that didn't work. Now what?" Because there's always a now what. It's simple to compare ourselves to others, those who look more ahead, who look confident, polished, perfect. But behind every achievement is a grave of excuses that they long forgot. Doubt does not disappear, it gets tried. Piece by piece, with every choice to try. And sometimes getting it done feels humdrum. It's not always this dramatic, huge thing. Sometimes it's just breaking out of the old pattern. Saying no to the fries and yes to the salad. Writing one page when you don't want to. Showing up when your mind says, "What's the point?" That's where it happens. There, in the mundane, in the small. And yes, you will fail. You will crash. You will make a plan and life will laugh and turn it around. That's part of it. But with each time you stand up again, you learn something in the back of your head. I'm not the kind of person that gives up on herself. And that more than anything constructs a life worth living. It isn't that excuses don't occur. It's that eventually, you stop listening to them. And the more you immerse yourself in finding ways, however terrible or uncomfortable they work, the more you believe in yourself. You can sense yourself growing more confident, a still confidence that asserts, whatever occurs, I'll cope. I'll make it work. I always do. And that shifts everything. So here's what I want you to do. In the comments, post a time when you found a way, or maybe a time when you were about to make an excuse and caught yourself. Let's be honest with each other. Let's grow together. And if you're already there in this moment, trapped, uncertain, frightened, leaving your words below. Perhaps someone else has been too. Perhaps the way is waiting in a comment that you have not yet read. Discovering a course doesn't mean that you always know where you're headed. Indeed, the most innovative routes frequently begin in ignorance rather than clarity. You start not because everything is elucidated, but because to remain static, immovable, is too expensive. There's a time in every life when comfort becomes quiet desperation, where routines trap and even rest is restless. That time, that is not failure. That is the knock of your potential from within. That is your highest self saying it's time. The world will never provide you with the ideal set of circumstances. There will always be distractions, demands, disappointments. But the one that is always available to you, the one that you have the power to decide, is your response. Will you wait for perfect? Or will you build forward momentum out of the imperfect? We're all excuse builders at one time or another. And they're all built so beautifully. I'm too old, too young, it's too late, I don't have time, they are better than me, what if I fail? But here's a cold and liberating truth: those excuses aren't barriers. They are mirrors. They are reflecting the fear that we've yet to encounter, the disbelief that we don't believe we have more, the fear that if we attempt, we'll prove how little we believe in ourselves. Fear is not the enemy, it's the compass. Fear indicates where the actual work starts. And if you can learn to sit with it, to actually look at it directly, it starts to become smaller. Excuses are fat. They strangle us with what ifs and almost. But effort generates traction. And traction is magical. You don't have to overhaul your entire life today. You need to start. One crazy actual step. One thing that moves you in the direction of the life you desire, not the life you're accepting. And don't mistake noise for progress. The world will applaud the loud, the flashy, the quick gain. But actual change, that occurs quietly. At early morning when nobody is observing you grind. At late evening when you opt for growth over ease. It occurs when you prefer discipline to doubt, repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. The Stoics taught us years ago, waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. And so too, don't waste another minute wondering whether you can or can't. Just do something small towards it. You'll be amazed at how the journey begins the moment you take the first step. And sometimes the way you go isn't normal. It appears as failure to others. It appears foolish. But your way isn't subject to their approval. Your tale isn't theirs to applaud. There's liberation in that. Because the moment you cease living off other people's expectations, you'll begin to find bits of you that you'd forgotten you possessed. There's an ancient saying, the obstacle is the way. And that's not metaphorical. That's utilitarian. That tough thing you've been procrastinating about. It's likely the door. That tough conversation, the task that intimidates you, the first step you've been procrastinating on, that's the path. Not an avoidance route, a passage route. When you discover your path, you're not skipping the difficult. You're doing it head on. Not necessarily with brutality, but with purpose. Sometimes the road is smooth. Sometimes the road is melodramatic. Sometimes the road's just infuriating enough. And a word on balance. This not a path of becoming this mindless machine trudging along forever and never being happy. That's not finding a path, that's getting lost along the way. There's harmony between intensity and ease, between effort and elegance, between action and being. There's balance. Discover it. Don't merely pursue goals. Pursue alignment. Are you doing it because it brings you joy or because you're behind? Are you pushing forward with or all pain? Don't have the way become another confinement. Make it your playground as well. Keep in mind, joy is part of the fuel. Laughter is strength. Wonder is wisdom. You can be serious and silly serious and frivolous serious and playful serious and free. When we think of finding a way, we usually think of one big breakthrough. But real change is more likely a mosaic. Small wins, small but mighty breakthroughs, cumulative courage. Similar to the individual who decide to persist after they have fallen once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5. The artist who produces work despite shaky hands. The parent who rises early to construct a dream amidst the rearing of a family. The pupil who labors in the dark because power has been switched off but appetite has not. That is not luck. That is not talent. That is a person who told himself no more excuses. I will do it. Perhaps your path will be grotesque. Perhaps you'll come to a dead-end street. That's fine. Life is not a straight line. It's a spiral staircase. Sometimes you'll think you're going in circles back to the same place, but actually you're ascending. And there's something lovely about deciding not to quit when nobody is applauding. That's the actual flex, quiet strength. Listen, excuses not to are always going to exist. But consider this: you put more effort into reasons to begin. What if today, rather than saying what if I fail, you said, what if I fly? There's a version of you on the other side of fear. One who's already living that life you so desperately desire. One who made it work not because it was easy, but because they never let "I can't" be the last word. So here's the ultimate truth. You can either feed your excuses or you can fuel your future. You don't get both. The world does not need more perfect people. The world needs real ones. Individuals who are afraid to try, to fail, to get up, to grow. People who actually do things not out of obligation, but because they want to. And you are nearer than you believe. If there's something here that resonates with you, do not hold back. Share in the comments. What is one excuse you've abandoned? Or one you're prepared to confront? What way are you now looking for? Let's create a space where courage is catching, where we remind one another, you're not alone, you're not too late, and your next step is the start of it all. So take it. Take the step. Find a way.